that the testimony, I don't live in a world of in isolation. I'm not in an island. So one way or the other, my testimony has to be somebody else involved. And I always ask myself, why are you exposing the other person? But so if I'm exposing somebody, I humbly apologize. My son was living, my sons don't live with me, we all know that. We're living in a place that is very dangerous. And he missed death. I testified about this a couple of weeks ago in prayer meeting. He missed death within a few meters. In fact, the person that they were shooting, they ended up by shooting him, they shot him dead. He tried to rush him to hospital and the child died. And there's a lot of story about on Facebook about who was deserving and who wasn't deserving, but that's besides the point. My son was saved. In fact, two of my sons. They were going together, and for some reason or the other, they were delayed. And by the time they looked again, there was gunshots. Long story short, they survived. Last week, Sunday, I called a family meeting with my children. I said to my wife, I think she needs to explain to these boys about the vaccine, because there's too many stories, and she can give her input from a medical perspective. So we called a meeting. So my son said, hey, Dad, I can't come to the meeting. I'm going to a 21st. So he went to the 21st. He phones me about 10 o'clock in the night, and I can hear he's definitely not sober. Please come and help me. So I asked him where you are. He tells me. So I phoned his brothers. His brothers came to me. I said, take the car and go and see what kind of trouble he's in. The way I thought, he drank too much and he didn't want to drive. It was a lot worse than that. When they get there, in fact, I thought they'll just be picking him up and coming home. So I'm sitting up and I'm waiting. It's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Oh, so I phoned them. What's the problem? They tell me the problem. Anyway, they managed to get home. And they tell me the story. They say, this one was drunk. He smashed his car. You know, I've been driving for a very long time. You know, a rim is that big. If you shatter a rim until it becomes just that piece, you must have been driving at excessive speed. The people that were nearby said to him, this one is lucky to be alive. Anyway, he came home, had a couple of bruises. So I said to myself, hey, I'm not going to talk to this guy. I'm not there for lectures, just leave him. So he phones me and he says to me, Dad, did you hear about my accident? I said, yes, I had. So he asked me, why is this happening to me? He says to me, in 3 weeks, I saw my life flashing in front of my eyes 3 times in 3 weeks. I said, maybe that's a sign. That's a real, and I'm explaining to him about the accident. I said the accident could have been a hell of a lot worse. He could have been caught for drinking and driving. That's his career gone. His bursary is gone. He could have knocked somebody. That's lawyers' fees and it's just, if you think about it, he could have killed somebody. Then he has to live with this guilt the rest of his life. I'm saying, God, I'm saying to you, whenever the word global missions is discussed, first thing that comes into mind is the 1040 window. The 1040 window. The statistics of the 1040 window are really frightening, because if you go according to these statistics, Jesus will never come. Because they say that only, this is an area that hasn't been reached, and 2/3 of the world live in that area. If you listen to that, Jesus will never come. But we all know that Jesus is coming. As Brother Cliff would say, we can honestly say Jesus is not coming tomorrow. We can even say he's not coming next week. But the problem is, can you and I say that we will be alive tomorrow? Because our death will signal the next event out of your death will be the return of Jesus Christ. Whether you died 100 years or whether you died 2 days ago, the next event after your death will be the return of Jesus Christ. So for you that is alive and that's got a heartbeat, Jesus can come tomorrow, because your death can come tomorrow. Amen? So if you look at the amount of work that can be done, it is overwhelming. It is overwhelming. I'm a very, very practical person. And I always think to myself, what are you going to do as far as a global mission evangelism is concerned? First and foremost, without me having money for a flight to go anywhere, the flights out of the country is very limited, obviously because of the COVID. Very limited. So nobody can just, we can no longer go in and out of the country as freely as we did before 2020. So it becomes, I'll make my point soon. That is not an excuse. Do I have the funds to go out of the country to go and be a global missionary? No. Is that an excuse? Again, the answer is no. I was thinking to myself, funny, I thought about Andrew when I thought about this. I said, if you want to be a global a missionary, you can't take a wife just yet. You have to put that on hold. You can't take a bond just yet. That you have to put on hold. You can't tie yourself to anything because you want to be a global missionary. Now, I don't. The answer again is no. Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 reads like this: Go ye